Welcome back, everybody. You are now listening to the Morning Grits podcast, where we talk about sports in a raw and authentic way. Sports for the fan, from a fan. It's your boy Joseph, aka Jay with the Grits, and I am bringing you another episode. And we are previewing the NBA playoffs, the 2021 NBA playoffs. This is different than being in the bubble, guys. The fans are back in the stands, and what I like to say is that the fans will make them dance. And we already know what time it is. You got Dame Lillard, who's in the playoffs, playing against the Nuggets. You have LeBron James, who is back and always in the playoffs. You had a great game last night with the Memphis Grizzlies playing against the Golden State Warriors. And Ja Morant and those guys over in Memphis said that they belong in the playoffs, beating out a potential MVP in Steph Curry. Who would have thought that would happen, especially after the Memphis Grizzlies got blown out just 2 days before? But the Memphis Grizzlies showed some resilience. But we're going to get into the Memphis Grizzlies matchup. They are the 8th seed in the West. But right now, we are going to talk about the first game that is going to set off these NBA playoffs. Look, you have a matchup that is, to me, one of the best matchups of this whole playoffs. You have the 3 seed in the Milwaukee Bucks, who have been potential. People have predicted the Milwaukee Bucks to win the championship for the last 2 years, at least to make the finals. This is going to be a really, really tough challenge for the Milwaukee Bucks because they will be facing the Miami Heat. Miami Heat, Oladipo will not be there. He still has a torn quadricep. But you have Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, because he gets buckets when they need him. And Jimmy Butler is one of the best teammates because he knows how to pump his team up. He knows how to encourage his players, his brothers, and he knows how to win. They were in the finals last year. They've been there. They done that. They got that experience. Hey, the Bucks have experience, and the Bucks got even better. The Bucks have added Drew Holiday. For defense, offense, Drew Holiday is a do-it-all player. He is an all-star caliber player. The Bucks have added PJ Tucker, and they've also added Bobby Portis. The Bucks have one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league and one of the top defenses in the league. This is going to be a grind-out game with Bam Adebayo, with the Heat also adding Trevor Ariza. Andre Iguodala is there. Look, this is really, really tough for me to pick who is going to win this series, but I am going to pick the Milwaukee Bucks. The Heat might surprise me, but I think the Milwaukee Bucks will win in 6 games and head off to the conference semifinals. Next up, we have another game that's going to happen today, which is the Clippers versus Dallas. This is a Western Conference matchup where you have the number 4 seed, the Clippers, versus the number 5 seed, Dallas Mavericks. The Clippers, y'all, the LA Clippers. On the Morning Grits, the Clippers ain't never nothing to talk about, just like the Knicks. And this team, the Clippers, they have reloaded. They have gotten Tyronn Lue as their coach, and they have been still, like the Bucks, predicted to be in the NBA Finals, at least facing in the Western Conference Finals against these guys called the Lakers. And the Clippers are going to have a really, really tough task. Look, if the Clippers are that good, why are the Clippers the 4th seed? We already know that the Clippers try to tank so that they can avoid the Lakers because the Lakers had to play that playing game. The Clippers did not want to be the number 2 seed. The Clippers did not even want to be the number 3 seed to potentially play against the Lakers. The only people that didn't duck the Lakers were the Utah Jazz and the Suns. And we already know the Suns are probably about to get that work, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. But the Clippers, Paul George was playing at an MVP level. Kawhi Leonard, where is he? I know he's not doing load management, but Kawhi Leonard has been hurt. The Clippers have battled some injuries, but the Clippers are very, very long. And they are playing a team like the Dallas Mavericks. Look, the Dallas Mavericks can be a little scary. They have Kristaps Porzingis. Depending on how Kristaps Porzingis is going to play in this series, if he gets hurt or not, this is going to be crucial. The Dallas Mavericks have played some close games against the Clippers this year, and it's always a grind-out game. To me, this is almost like a rivalry between these two teams. Luka Magic is on the playoff stage. Oh my gosh, this is actually another great matchup that I'm interested in watching. And they also start off today. Oh my goodness, I am going to pick the Clippers. The Clippers are going to win this matchup, and the Clippers are going to win against the Mavericks in 6 games. We got another game going on today, guys, for the NBA playoffs. And man, this is getting good. They put 3 great matchups for today to play in the NBA playoffs. And you have the Boston Celtics versus the Brooklyn Nets. A lot of people have picked the Brooklyn Nets to win the championship this year. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. However, the Brooklyn Nets are that team. Look, check it out. You guys already know, because you've been watching the Morning Grits podcast, how I feel about it. How can the Brooklyn Nets win a championship where the formula that they're currently using has never worked in the past? It didn't work with D'Antoni in Houston when he was coaching James Harden. James Harden never got out of the second round. The formula didn't work when you had the best record in the league, when you had Phoenix Suns. Who was their teammates? The Phoenix Suns were led by Steve Nash and Amar'e Stoudemire. Head coach Steve Nash, assistant coach Amar'e Stoudemire. How do you think the philosophy of the way that they play the game is going to help influence them to win a championship in today's game? I know that the big 3 can average about 90 points between the 3 of them. My man Leon Baller already said it on the show. Look, y'all, the Nets will not even make it to the NBA Finals. And this is something that I have been saying the whole time. Ever since they made that trade with James Harden, getting rid of their key players, getting rid of their defense, especially in the interior, because at the end of the day, and I will still remain the same as I have in the beginning of the year, throughout the middle of the year, and I will not waver and I will not falter. Defense wins championships. It wins championships in football, and it wins championships in basketball. Any contact sport that's being played, any up and down sport that's being played, you need defense to go along with your offense. But let's talk about this game. For me, the Celtics were one of those choices that I had to make it to the top 4. They were one of the 4 top teams in the East for me at the beginning. A lot of things that happened. COVID happened. So players got COVID. Jason Tatum, to be exact. Then you had some injuries. Marcus Smart, Kemba Walker. Those guys will be playing. All 3 of them will be playing. But the key piece in which they are missing for this game and for this series is Jaylen Brown. If Jaylen Brown was playing, this will go 7 games. This series is only going to go 5 games, and the Brooklyn Nets are going to whoop up on the Boston Celtics. We got another matchup that I know a lot of people have been wanting to see. The Knicks versus the Hawks. Look, the NBA just got so much better. You could tell by the All-Star selection. There were a lot of players that probably would have been All-Stars this year in a different year. But now you have a player like Julius Randle, who to me and to Leon is the most improved player. Julius Randle is a beast. We saw his development when he was with the Lakers. We saw what he was trying to do when he was with the Pelicans. But now, as a New York Knick, being able to adapt to the culture, a new culture that Leon Rose has brought in. Hey, if you want it done right, you got to go get the best. And the Knicks have gotten the best in the front office that have really changed their team around, that have changed the culture, that have changed the dynamic. Coach Thibodeau, a defensive coach. Derrick Rose, Taj Gibson is there. Former players of his, when they went to the playoffs in Chicago, are now there to talk to Julius Randle, to teach RJ Barrett, and all of these new guys. Quigley, who's a rookie, having an outstanding season. But you're facing the Atlanta Hawks and the Knicks. You guys would have won this series in a different year, maybe about 13 years ago. Look, you guys, the Knicks, have beaten the Hawks this year in the regular season. But most of those games came without Nate McMillan. And Nate McMillan versus Tom Thibodeau, to me, is going to be the series. Who's going to be the better coach? Because you have the players, Trae Young, you have the players, John Collins, and you also have Clint Capella. You have Bogdanovich. This team, I feel, is a little more loaded than the New York Knicks. I know the Knicks are hungry. I know the Knicks have a lot to prove. And I know that this series is going to go 7 games. The Atlanta Hawks are now back into the playoffs and have resurged with Nate McMillan as their coach. And Nate McMillan needs to be re-signed by the Atlanta Hawks to let you guys know that black coaches do need to be in the league, and this is what you do. There's a lot of teams that get rid of these coaches, just coaches in general, and when a coach goes to the next spot, sometimes they peak. Indiana Pacers, you lost out by getting rid of Nate McMillan. And now look, Nate McMillan has got this team, the Atlanta Hawks, into the playoffs, and the Atlanta Hawks are going to beat the Knicks in 7 games and move on to the conference semifinals. And guys, we are back to the West, and you have the Utah Jazz, the number 1 seed, playing against the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies, as I mentioned earlier, have battled their way from the play-in game to get to the playoffs, and this is Ja Morant's first opportunity, and this man is not scared of the big stage. At only 21 years old, Ja Morant has this team believing that they can get far in the playoffs. To me, this is actually a really great matchup, and we always talk about here on the Morning Grits how matchups make games and matchups make series. But this is a 7-game series, and this is playing the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz have the best record in the NBA. Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, the Stifle Tower, Rudy Gobert, and then you have my man Ingles. Oh my goodness. The Jazz ain't really never nothing to talk about. Just like LeBron James said, when do you ever pick the Jazz even when you're playing 2K? You never do. But this year, they have been lighting it up from 3. Their offense has been bomb. And then the way that they move the ball is excellent. You have to really watch out for down screens. You have to watch out for cutters. You have to watch out for the pick and roll. They are very dynamic. They get out in transition and they shoot the 3. The Utah Jazz are going to win this series in 5 games against the Memphis Grizzlies, hands down. The Denver Nuggets, who are playing the Portland Trailblazers. Look, y'all, Dame Lillard was an MVP candidate, or at least in a lot of people's minds, he was an MVP candidate. He has really, really, really elevated his game to the point to where I can say Dame is making his team better. When the team is late in the 4th quarter, they already know what time it is. And so does the rest of the league. It's Dame time. Portland Trailblazers will be playing the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets have Jokic, MVP candidate. He is there. Some say he might be the league MVP. Look, y'all, this is going to be a great series. The team matches up very well, but I think the Blazers just have a little bit more firepower. Covington, his defense, being able to shoot the 3. Carmelo, we already know he's clutch. Carmelo Anthony has been playing a great season with the Portland Trailblazers. You never know. He might show up and have a really big game. CJ McCollum, he's no longer hurt. Jokic, that dude could play. Hey, that's a big center that can play some ball. Yeah, I know you have Michael Porter Jr. You have some pieces, Nuggets, that can really do damage. But you got MVP Jokic, and you guys are currently in the 3 seed, but I don't really see that you guys are beating the Blazers. So, hey, in 6 games, I already know what time it is, and y'all know what time it is. It's Dame time. The Blazers are going to win this series. And you already know that we have to talk about the LA Lakers versus the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are the number 2 seed. That number 2 seed is here right now, y'all. And the Phoenix Suns are playing the Los Angeles Lakers. The LA Lakers are here to play. You have Anthony Davis. You have LeBron James. Alex Caruso even stepped up. The rotation of the Lakers has gotten smaller to 9 and 8 players. You saw it in the playing game. You also saw it in the game before. To me, it made a difference with coaching. Andre Drummond. The Lakers have kind of figured out how to use them in the rotation. Look, the rotation is going to be crucial for the LA Lakers. But what needs to happen is Anthony Davis needs to step up. Anthony Davis needs to play that game the way that he knows to play the game. Hey, you are a beast, and you are like that, AD, and we need that MVP style of play from you. LeBron James, you already know he's going to make it. Look, LeBron, whatever you got to do, keep shooting at the rim in the middle. That's the one that we need you to shoot at. And we also need you to continue to attack the rim. Last game that the Lakers played in the play-in game had a little bit of flow to it. They play really, really great when LeBron James is off the ball. We just don't need Schroeder trying to take over the game to prove that he needs to get a contract. We don't need that, Schroeder. All we need you to do is hit open shots, penetrate, get the open man. If you're there, get a bucket. If not, get the ball to the interior and get the ball to Anthony Davis and get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way. The Lakers have told the Suns to get out the way. Chris Paul, you are my MVP for the league. You know, I like CP3. I like everything that you do, everything that you bring to the table. You are a great leader. Some say you might be the best point guard of all time. I didn't. Magic Johnson is, but you are certainly right up there. Look, CP3, I wish you would have came to the Lakers because, look, LeBron's got to do this to you, man. Devin Booker, Ayton, these guys are on your team. These guys are still young, and you guys can't compete. You guys cannot run. You guys cannot out-rebound the Lakers. The Lakers are going to smoke you in 5 games. Look, y'all, this is my first-round matchups. I had to lay them out there for you. And we'll be back with the Morning Grits podcast to give you guys the details from the first-round matchups going into the second round. And if you guys didn't know, looking at the hat, you already know who my championship winner is. It's the Lakers, y'all. But I got to tell you the path and how which they're going to get there. But hey, I thank you so much for tuning in to the Morning Grits podcast. You can always reach us on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts. You can reach us on Facebook. You can reach us on Instagram. Please follow @Morning Grits and make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Press that like button and also click the notifications so you can always know when a new episode is coming out for you. Thank you guys for tuning in and let me know. Are you with the Grits?